Hey, welcome back to the Made Conversations series. So happy to be once again bringing these conversations to my home away from home, 8 Elm Street, News 8 Studios right here in New Haven, the greatest small city in America. I'm Mike Cerulli, political reporter at News 8.
Yep, and I'm Melissa Shakatoff, host of Melissa in the Morning on WICC.
So for those of you that have joined these conversations before, you might be familiar with us having multiple guests. We wanted to dive a little bit deeper with one guest. We've got Danny Mendoza here. Danny, tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm excited to be one of your first deep dives.
Yeah,
so
you are our
it's
first
a
one.
pleasure,
Don't
it's
be
an honor.
nervous.
You know, the challenge was waking up, not getting stuck in traffic, and being here at WTNH, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
You are.
Like
Crushing it.
WTNH, one of those.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to get any producers upset. So
Nobody
we'll
knows
make
what the
them happy.
W stands for. The
Yeah.
T, I think, is television.
Okay.
I think NH is New Haven.
Oh man, I was about to slam the table, but I was warned not
Yeah,
to.
don't do that. Good job.
Great,
Nice
but
job.
Yeah. No, I've been in Connecticut for a minute. I think it's been about 15 years, but it's a
Wow.
lovely state. It's beautiful. Transplant from Miami.
Oh, really?
So for a moment, I gave up a lot of that salsa music and Cuban culture, but I'm finding it little by little, and a lot of that is here in New Haven.
That's a
fantastic.
culture shock, though.
Yeah.
I
I know.
mean, wow.
A little
Miami
bit.
to Connecticut, that's very, very different. What do
Yeah.
you like about Connecticut?
My family loves it, and whatever makes them happy makes me happy. And it's really become a great state to be entrepreneurial, to build a business, to innovate. And so if those things continue, this is the best state to do it. So great place for businesses, great place for families. You can't beat that.
So for our listeners and viewers who are going, wait a minute, who is this guy?
That was a little quick.
What is he doing here?
Yeah.
What do you do, Danny? What do you said you love the state because you can be entrepreneurial here.
Yes.
What do you entrepreneur?
That's great. I like that. So my career has always been in digital technology and innovation. And so I've represented some really big programs throughout my career. Everything from defense and bringing some of those innovations to market, to healthcare, developing new products and services that help protect people, and now celebrating the launch of my new venture, which is DNA Innovation Studio. And I get to work with entrepreneurs, CEOs across the state to help them bring new products to market, to help them solve some operational challenges, or to adopt technology. Say, look, it's not that scary. As long as we know why we're doing it, let's go after it, and let's get it done. That's why I love Made in this whole conversation. We're making things, we're not just talking about it.
I mean, but it seems like, Danny, not to jump ahead, but you sort of have it all together. So, but I'm noticing, I love your face like that, because that's going to be my question.
Who does have it all together?
I mean,
really?
as far as like
That's-
technology and
Yeah.
in sort of the way that we're going, a lot of people who attend Made, it's because they maybe don't feel as comfortable. What are you getting out of the Made series?
Yeah, getting confidence. Anytime that you're creating something new, you have to feel good about the room, and the room is very inclusive. I love what Made has become because everyone's invited. Big companies, startup companies, talent, young students. You get the really big mix, and you also get a sense of the pulse of the state. Are we optimistic? Are we feeling good about where we're going? And as an entrepreneur, you have to bet against that. I can develop, I can build, I can invest, and then that, will create a return. If those signals weren't there, you wouldn't see the excitement, that I have or others have. So we're feeling pretty good about it, and that's why Made is, of value.
Tell me about some of the interesting conversations you've had at these events. There are built-in times at all these Made events for entrepreneurs like you to talk with fellow entrepreneurs, to talk with state government officials, occasionally get pestered by reporters. Tell us about some of the interesting conversations you've had at these events.
Yeah, a lot of it is, a lot of our focus is partnerships. And so maybe it's at the back of the room when you're, watching the stage and hearing the conversation. You get that little bit of a moment to explore, hey, here's what I'm building. I know what you're really good at, and I don't do that. Could we work together and just figure out, how those two sort of connect?
Can I ask? I don't want you to give away any.
A little more specific.
No, I want
Any
you to.
business
No, do
secrets
it.
or anything
Yes.
here? But have
I
you?
kinda
And
wanna
I
know.
don't want to get too prying here, but have you developed any leads at these conferences that have
Absolutely.
led to business for you, that have led to partnerships?
Yes, absolutely.
Or even just a cup
100%.
of coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty inviting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I keep a sort of optimistic glow about conversations. So yes, everything from my own venture with DNA Innovation, which also has a marketing component. So we have to be able to tell that story and take it to market. But then building more of an entrepreneurial Advanced Accelerator is the new venture that we're investing in. Myself and a small group, we are very passionate about Connecticut, and we saw through going through these events there was a gap and an opportunity to focus on younger companies that need more capital, that need more support, because we have great systems for medium and large size companies.
Right.
What's missing is early. And if we can identify and lock them in early, then we get to keep them as a state, we get to keep them as neighbors and as friends and family. And so that's the next venture. So I've been able to identify partners who provide services for the companies we want to attract. I've been able to establish partnerships with higher education, which represents talent that wants to be entrepreneurial. And I know if there are any parents watching, they're proud of their children. They're the smartest kids in the room.
Hi, Mom.
And they want them to maybe build a company at some point. And that's the infrastructure that our team and I are investing in. So it helps to have those specific partnership conversations that also become leads and clients of this more entrepreneurial system.
It's funny that you bring up, Danny, the younger generation and working with higher education, because obviously there have been a lot of really amazing moments so far in Made, and I know we're not even halfway done with it, but I thought one of the most profound moments so far was that first event where you had college students on stage and really voicing, because part of it is obviously what are they learning at school and how do they, but we're seeing the workforce change so much, especially with AI, technological advances. And I think it's really encouraging that you don't seem afraid to take on the next generation. If anything, it excites you, it almost seems like.
You have to. You have to acknowledge and respect and listen. As a designer in innovation, if you don't listen to your audience and who you're designing for or the problem that you're trying to solve, you're way off track. So it was great hearing a little bit of their expectations. This is what I want for my career. This is what's going to make me stay at an employer. And we have to take that into consideration, otherwise we've lost them. They're going to go to different cities. They're going to grow up. They're going to get really smart, and then they're going to be gone. And we don't want that. So it was the best moment of that event. And future events, I think, are going to continue to create this opportunity for a voice to, express yourself, either as talent, either as a business leader, or, as a leader in our community.
And I thought that was such a good point, because I think the college student conversation was fascinating. You mentioned helping them get funding early, that seed stage. What is it that you do? Is it connecting to funding? Do you fund yourself? Is it sort of helping them prepare to be in those pitch meetings, helping them develop their decks, or is it all the above?
All of the above, and it's part of what we're calling escape velocity. So it is raising a fund to be able to directly invest and not dilute at the very start with our investment. So as an entrepreneur, you get to keep more of your company, which is fantastic, low risk. And then as these companies present that growth or opportunity, we get to wrap them around with services like DNA to be more strategic and go to market, or to market themselves, have a digital presence, to be more visible on social, or to have partnerships across the state to say, pilot, let us prove ourselves. Let's adopt what's being invented and keep it here and create this incredible economy of innovation, which I'm excited for.
Can I ask, with these young entrepreneurs, are you finding, obviously, here in Connecticut, we maybe don't have the presence of the big VCs that are out west, or maybe have a presence in New York City or in Miami at this point now. A lot of them have opened offices down there. Obviously, a lot of those young entrepreneurs probably want to get connected to the big guys, the Sequoias, the Andreessens, but are there resources here in Connecticut, whether it's smaller groups of investors, whether it's the state of Connecticut itself through its various entities that provide funding? Can you just give us a sense of what that environment looks like in Connecticut and what you would recommend to a young entrepreneur, saying, are we doing an all of the above approach, or are we really trying to, maybe someone comes to you, some Yale kid comes to you and says, look, I'd really love to have, I'd love to have General Catalyst in on my seed round. And you say, well, hang on a minute. There's the state of Connecticut has this program that provides that seed funding too. How do you sort of talk to young entrepreneurs about that first step in getting funding?
Whether it's a Yale kid, UConn kid, Trinity, UNH, we have so many great schools. So any one of them could have a great idea. And there are so many channels that support the development of that. So for example, I'm an entrepreneur in residence at UConn TIP. And whether it's faculty or a student that has an idea, they have an opportunity to present it and be adopted into that sort of venture building environment. That's a great, safe place to build if you have the connections. our state has great programs for the bigger companies, and there are some really big VCs across the state. There's also CI, which was a little bit more focused on established businesses.
Yeah, Connecticut Innovations.
Connecticut Innovations. And Advanced CT, which is an incredible arm of economy across our state. Nobody really knows, but they do a lot. They're like economy ninjas, just sort of like deploy, fix, grow. I love that group. So, bringing that group together and listening to them, they have a really great program for those bigger companies.
Yeah, I want to put a pin in this because we've joked about this in our conversations. All of the Made CT, Advanced CT, Connecticut Innovations. It can get a little confusing, Danny. I want to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want to talk about that roadmap that you help provide and that these Made events help provide. We'll be right back with more on Made Conversations. And welcome back to Made Conversations. Danny, before the break, we were talking about something that has confused me as someone who covers this world. I sometimes will misspeak, and whether I'm talking about Connecticut Innovations or Advanced CT or Ready CT, I'll sometimes mix them up, right? And these
I
are
can't
all.
believe that.
You've seen it happen.
I've done
right
it
here,
myself.
You've seen it happen.
No, listen, I know, I get it.
And it that mistake that I make from time to time maybe takes away from the incredibly distinct and incredibly helpful work that these organizations all do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like one thing you offer, particularly to younger entrepreneurs, is a bit of a roadmap. So I want to give you a bit of a hypothetical.
Okay.
Let's say a young entrepreneur comes to you and says, I've got this great idea for a new digital news startup. And
Don't worry, Mike isn't quitting his job.
gonna
Don't
say,
worry.
I
love these guys.
Yeah, I
Who
just
could this
this
young
is very
entrepreneur be?
hypothetical.
they come to you with an idea and they say, look,
Yeah.
we talked about before about I'd love to have one of the big guys in on that seed round. And you might say, actually, right here in Connecticut, there are some homegrown organic resources for you. Give me a sense of what that conversation might look like with a young entrepreneur. And let's go into Connecticut Innovations and Advanced CT and DECD and all of the rest of them.
Yeah.
And CBIA that
All
I
the
know
acronyms,
gives a lot of
right?
support as well. So
Yeah.
what are we looking at here?
I would say, first of all, great choice in building your idea in Connecticut because it's such a great state for it. And there are so many groups that just want to help. I think that's the other reason why I love being here is that it is not a difficult state to connect with someone, ask a question, and figure it out. When it comes to an idea, it all comes down to, well, how well do you know who you're designing for, creating for? How big is the problem? And who's faced with that problem? So it's just right sizing. And you could also say it's de-risking to save you some time and maybe some capital. You have an incredible family that might want to invest in your idea because they believe in you. Let's just make sure that the idea is allowed to grow, that it has room to breathe. So, starting that conversation there. And then once it's, sort of formulated, it has that business plan, there are groups that are ready to jump out of their seat to support. So it depends on what industry. I feel like there are very industry-driven groups across.
Yeah.
Manufacturing, insurtech, packaged goods. It really helps to know where that idea lands, and then we pull in the right group. Beyond that, what I'm excited for with Escape Velocity is being able to have the capital to not just recommend, but also invest and say, we love that idea. We've studied it together. We know the space for it. Let's give it some capital, and let's take it to market together. So I would say, start now. Don't wait. Get this idea out there and go through the process of connecting with the right groups.
Yeah. I mean, to that point, Danny, because sometimes people will wait because they don't think it stands out. It's sort of, like anything in life. Oh, I shouldn't report it because somebody else will do it, or I shouldn't do it because somebody else will be better at it. I mean, what would you say? Whether it is somebody who is fresh out of college, or even on the other end, let's talk about the other end of the spectrum too.
That's a good
And
point,
because
yeah.
I think you have other clients, I'm sure, who have maybe been in business 30, 40 years and now are trying to figure out, well, how in the world do I adjust and not be archaic, which I would think a lot of people go through. I guess first, how do you reset the mentality of this is not a world I can fit in, or maybe there are resources out there, but I'm not someone who's going to stand out. How do you change that mindset of somebody? And then I'd love to sort of dive into the other end of the spectrum and clients that have already been in business for a long time.
Love that.
I'm so glad.
That's
Great.
a great
I'll be here for the
setup.
rest of the
That's a great
episode.
question. Thank you. And it is true, this mindset of fear, and that's typically what holds someone back. I don't know if it's good enough. I don't know how to. And so some of that is what we address. You're not in it alone. So whether you are a young student or entrepreneur or a company that has been established but maybe feels there's something happening with AI, there's something happening with this and that, and I feel like I should have more control over the growth of my company. Entrepreneurs, might hold back because of that fear. And so getting to that stage of adopting a new idea or going through a process of transformation, it really depends on how bad they know that they might be missing the mark. Because they love their businesses, they're focused on day-to-day operations and keeping the lights on, but they know they're missing out. And they don't have the arm to invest in new ideas or a better product or a better service or a better system. And so we get to be that comfort level that says we almost become a part of your company. As a fractional member of your leadership team, we can't just jump in and start making recommendations if we don't know you. So let's get to know each other. And once we know each other, we start building. So that's more of our, comfort, but it is almost like finding gold, knowing it's there and not having the tools to mine it. That'll drive you crazy. And
I love
someone
that
else,
analogy.
right, with a pickaxe might come over and try to, take it.
It's true.
Yeah. And have the conversations at the MADE events, I'm curious, good point, Melissa. We've been focused a lot on younger entrepreneurs, but some of the companies, large, small, medium-sized, at these MADE events are more mature. What have those conversations sounded like?
Yeah.
Where they might be coming to you and saying, I want to adapt to this moment right now. I don't need seeds. I've been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I want to have the mentality of a
good
seed
point.
stage company.
Yeah.
But guess what? My cash flow is great. I've got employees. I've got a lot of a lot of assets. What do you say to them?
I say CEO-driven innovation programs are fantastic. They already believe in you. You have a great business, and you have a lot of people that you're responsible for. They will support your exploration of new ideas. And so as you being the leader and the face of the company, when you say, I think the world is changing or the industry is changing and I want to be ready for it, they'll respect that. And so just become a part of the process, be the champion for change, and you'll see that adoption within your company a lot easier.
I mean, to that point, Danny, I'm curious, I love what you said, Mike, which is that, okay, well, I'm doing really well. I can think of plenty of people who are very successful businessmen and women, have had companies that are thriving and they're doing well. But then you think about the fact that they're going to get to a point where you're going to retire and maybe you pass it on to the next generation and you want your business to keep thriving, right? So maybe not for the current CEO, but for the next generation, I think, how do you break through? Because I think it's important that they also understand, things like AI and quantum, those are very hard concepts, even for the average person. Okay, maybe they're not. Yeah, right. No, totally. At this point, we know all about it. But the average person, right? I can spell it.
Easy.
Don't ask me to define it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's almost important that everyone on board, including the CEOs who feel like I did a really great job, I'm good, but you're leaving behind whoever's going to pick up the baton.
Yeah.
So I would think it's important that the entire staff is very aware of how these technological advances work, AI, so on and so forth.
Absolutely. And it becomes a little bit of legacy. You have invested so much to build, and so why not invest in protecting that?
Correct.
So whether it's handing it off to another leader or positioning the company for future growth or acquisition, the end result is different depending on who's running it and what their options are. But the consistent pieces, they all love it. They love what they're doing, what they've built. And so they dedicate time and resources to just look at technology. What role can it play? How can it help me prepare for whatever that next turn is? And then I know that at least the next couple of decades, I have a perspective and I'm ready to walk into it versus a big question mark and the unknown.
Yeah.
That's the scarier part. So I think you're right. It's different. No one conversation, is the same. And that's why I love being in the room for MADE events, is because you never know who you're going to run into. I think the only, sad part is that maybe not everybody's made it to a MADE event. So we want to get everybody out, right? Like, just come on out. Let's meet. Let's talk. Let's have some coffee or grab a croissant in the back.
Right.
And talk a little
Or
bit
one of
about
those things you
innovation.
brought from G Cafe.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
was
Shout out to G
buzzing.
Cafe.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us a story. Give us a story. You mentioned you never know who you're going to talk to. Is there a story or a conversation you've had at one of these events that has really inspired you or taught you something and said, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or this is a person I've not interacted with before? Tell us about that.
I think a little bit of what you said with all the acronyms. So figuring out who does what, how do they play into it, and mapping that architecture for the state has been fantastic. And so I think listening to some of the leaders within our state share a more positive perspective than you would have by just being at home or being in your own world. So hearing a little bit from Dan, Chief Innovation Officer, head of DCD.
Dan O'Keefe.
Yeah.
Former guest on this podcast.
Yeah. So, groups like that are great to listen to because they inspire, they create opportunity, and now it's upon us to act. Say, okay, based on what I've learned, I feel really good. And those conversations then lead to confidence and then building. So that's one specific conversation that I draw a lot of inspiration from, because without it, I wouldn't really know. And that's the biggest enemy to innovation.
So you said folks that might not have made it out there yet, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to tell you all how to get to one of these things so you can talk to people like Danny, like Dan O'Keefe. And I don't know if anyone calls him Danny, but we'll see.
Is it actually Danny?
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? You're Danny.
You're Danny.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
our Danny.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Right?
We'll be right back with more from Danny when we come back. And welcome back to Made Conversations. Danny was mentioning you don't want to miss out on these Made events. The next one is going to be down in Fairfield County.
Yeah.
Where do you live? Do you live around here, or do you live in Fairfield County? Or
Yeah, I'm in Bristol.
you're in Bristol?
Oh,
Right in the middle, so it's
love
easy to
that.
get
Right.
around.
You've got kind of a drive, but
wasn't
Fairfield County in the fall. Melissa, where can they sign up for this? Where can they find out when it's going to be?
Yeah, I was going to say Connecticut-made.com. You're going to find everything there. And they usually have an agenda, date, time, all that good stuff. They usually update that. I know it's going to be coming up in like the early part of the fall.
Yeah.
So,
And get in the
more details.
LinkedIn group, Connecticut-Made. There'll be links for LinkedIn. And
I'm big on LinkedIn. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm abusing the celebrate icon.
Really?
Oh, that's
Like,
awesome.
It's not good enough.
Right.
Where are you on LinkedIn? Where can we just Danny Mendoza?
Yeah, find me. If you guys are wanting to go to the event, if you want to get a coffee before or after, let's chat.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I'm looking forward to you'll be there, obviously.
I have to.
I'm told.
It's like
that
I literally don't want to get yelled at by Anthony. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
But seriously.
Yeah.
And Anthony will be there up front at this one.
Oh, for
the
sure.
theme, we've had innovation, we've had sort of workforce themed ones. The theme for this one is reputation, which
Oh,
is
boy.
interesting. You'll see coming up here on News 8 with our friends at CBIA. I've been going to all these businesses to trying to determine, and you as viewers will help determine what the coolest thing made in Connecticut is. And I've been going to a lot of these companies to our conversation that are like decades old, and reputation is at the center of what they do. It's part
Really?
of their DNA, whether they're a chocolate company that's been around since the middle of the 20th century or a company that's making advanced ceramics to put on your car or helicopter. It's all about reputation. So October or early fall sometime, reputation, Anthony's version, I think
love
is going to
that.
be hitting the
I love
Yeah.
that. Have you seen Wiffle Ball yet in Shelton?
So Wiffle is not in this year's competition.
Oh man.
It's an annual thing, so
Yeah. Gotta go visit those guys.
Yeah.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
So,
So
right, submarines, popcorn. There's a lot.
Submarines
Right?
won. The submarine won last
I was
year.
there
Oh.
for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I took a video of the
Amazing.
group. I didn't actually post it. I'll have to do that.
You got to get there. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You're teaching
We
us
have to
social
become
media
LinkedIn
innovation.
friends. You need to
Yeah.
get back on your video posting.
Yeah.
do it.
Right?
So we'll make some good content at that fall Made event.
Yeah.
Fairfield County, Connecticut-Made.com, LinkedIn, Connecticut Made, and Danny on LinkedIn as well. You follow me if you want to too.
Yeah.
I don't really post that much.
No.
Thanks for
see.
having me. This was fun.
This is so much fun.
Yeah.
We'll
Can't
see
wait
you
to see
all in the fall for some cups of coffee and some conversations at the next Connecticut Made event. Thanks for joining us here in New Haven at News 8 Studios. Melissa, always fun.
Always fun. And Danny with your pink shirt, I tell you. I'm so glad.
We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for joining.